Hello friends, my name is Michael Stoppa, and today I'd like to give you a video about sales calls best practices. All right, step two, the proof, right? So this is the evidence stage. I'm talking about a patient that has this condition Z. Obviously, I'm going to make a recommendation that they use product X, but I've got to back that up with evidence, right? Because I'm not a doctor. Me just going in there and telling them to use the product without any evidence is not going to do anything. So I might say something like this. So again, this is, a generic way to say it. So, hey, did you see that article by Bob Evans in the March issue of the New England Journal of Medicine? Dr. Evans, he conducted a trial with patients that had condition Z, and he found that patients who used product X were able to reduce condition Z by 35%. What's your opinion of that research? So again, watered down version, right? But it's kind of an example of how you could have a discussion starter. And the proof source could be a clinical that you use, like a white paper. It could be a visual aid. It could be your mobile device, whatever the case may be, right? You're going to have something that's going to provide evidence to back up the recommendation that you're going to make in your close stage. Now, I want to touch on this thing called be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. When I was early in my career, I read a book that was something titled similar to this. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like this here. But the concept is this. In pharmaceutical and medical device sales, often we're meeting with providers, whether that's doctors, nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists, nurses, whatever the case may be. These people are busy treating patients. If they've got time to meet with you, they don't have a lot of time, right? So you got to maximize that time that you have. You've got to be brief with them, but you got to be brilliant, and then you got to be gone, right? So use the time that you have to get that job done. And so why I bring it up here with the proof stage is because what I found over the year, and myself included, when you're early on in your career, the proof stage is the hardest piece to be confident with. You've got a lot of things in your job that you're responsible for. And knowing the clinical evidence when you don't have a medical background, it can be very difficult. So some people shy away from the proof stage. I'm telling you, don't do that, because if you do that, and I've been there, right? If you try to, not know as much as you should know, you're not going to be confident when you present that proof, and you're going to know it, and the doctor's going to know it, and the recommendation that you make is not going to be believable. So spend the time getting to know the proof source that you're using. I don't have a medical background. I have a financial background. So it took me a while to learn the medical side of things when I got into this industry in the middle 2000s, right? I spent a lot of time and effort to learn the medical side of the business, and I became, I like to think, a product knowledge expert. And I think it's reasonable for everybody to have that goal, even if you don't have a medical background. I have since given many presentations where when I'm done with the presentation, people will ask, wow, what is your medical background? And I don't bring that up to toot my own horn, only just to show you that it is possible to be a subject matter expert in your product. And what I say to that when people ask me that is I kind of just laugh it off, right? Hey, I might be an expert in one thing, but you're the expert in many things. And I'm only here to support you with the little piece that I know of the pie that can help you in your decision making. Nobody expects you to be an expert in everything, right? I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor, right? But I can be an expert in the proof sources that I bring, and I can be an expert in my product, and that's how I can provide value to the customers that I serve, right? So in terms of the proof source that you're choosing, we got to make sure that it's clearly related to the purpose of the visit. So I said in that purpose, hey, I'm coming in to talk about patients that have condition Z. So my proof source has to support this theory, right? That the people who use product X for condition Z get better, right? And now I'm going to verbalize that for the customer, and I'm going to see if the customer buys into that evidence, right? If they do buy into the evidence, then that's going to make the close easier. If they don't buy into the evidence, then I need to know what their objections are, right? In addition, I'm also introducing a concept here called the key opinion leader strategy. What I like to say is, hey, doc, don't take my word for it that you should use, product X for condition Z. This is what Bob Evans says, and Bob Evans is a key opinion leader nationally throughout for this product. And if this doctor knows Bob Evans personally, all the better, right? Because now we're providing validation from a proof source and someone that they know. Let's take this a little bit forward, a little bit more here with some additional stuff. I talked about the stumbling blocks already. That's, taking the time to know your material, and the fact that you can have a reasonable goal to be an expert in the things that you are presenting. Now, does that mean you have to know everything there is to know about this trial from a medical standpoint? That's probably unrealistic if you don't have a medical background, but your company probably has a medical science team that if they ask questions that go beyond the label, or they ask questions that you don't know, don't make it up. Just get them hooked up with the medical science person from your company who can answer those questions, right? Also, I think this is very important. When you are presenting a piece of clinical information, it should be a dialogue, right? We're not trying to present a piece of clinical information, and that we can go kind of coast to coast, page to page, all the way through, right? We want to have a dialogue during that discussion. So maybe throughout the presentation, that maybe it's a 5-minute presentation, right? But you might say something like, when you talk about how the research was set up, hey, doc, what do you think about how the research was set up? Or are the patients in this trial similar to yours? Why or why not? Or are you using product X in the same way that Dr. Evans is using? Or when you get to the results, hey, are you getting the same results as Dr. Evans is with product X with patients that have condition Z, or are you getting something different, right? That's important to have that Q&A because, like I said, that's going to help you uncover those hidden objections. And those objections are what you need to know before you can get to the close.